Have you ever found yourself wondering, why is it that despite pouring every ounce of energy into my business, my bank account still feels like it's constantly empty? Imagine waking up at the crack of dawn, hustling your way through endless meetings and chasing every opportunity, only to see your revenue soar while your savings remain stubbornly low. If you're nodding along, you're not alone. I've been there, questioning everything. What is the secret that keeps profit perpetually out of reach? Why does every big sale or promising contract seem to vanish before it can fill the gaps in my finances? I used to believe that more sales meant more money in the pocket. I chased every new client, convinced that growth was the ultimate indicator of success. But soon I learned a harsh truth. The way we've been taught to manage our business finances is deeply flawed. The problem isn't that you're not working hard enough. It's that the traditional financial formula you're following is designed to leave you empty-handed. Today, I want to share a story, a journey of struggle, discovery, and transformation, a journey that completely changed my relationship with money. And by the end of it, I hope you'll see that there's a smarter, more sustainable way to run your business. One where profit isn't a distant dream, but a guarantee from day one. Let's be real for a minute. You didn't start your business just to keep your head buried in spreadsheets or to live month to month. You started it to make a difference, to build something meaningful, to create freedom, and yes, to make money. But here's the million-dollar question. Are you truly free if you're always scrambling to cover expenses? Does success mean having your dream life if it comes with the constant stress of wondering how you'll pay the bills? What if I told you that there is a way to rewire your entire approach to money, so that every dollar you earn has a purpose, and profit is not just an afterthought, but the very foundation of your business? I'm talking about a method that flips the old rules on their head, one that challenges the very core of how we think about revenue and expenses. This method has helped thousands of entrepreneurs turn their cash-eating businesses into money-making machines, and it can work for you too. I'm referring to the profit-first system, a strategy that requires you to take your profit first before you pay any expenses. At first, I was skeptical. How could simply rearranging the order in which I allocate money change the fate of my business? But after experiencing the benefits firsthand and seeing others transform their lives, I became a true believer. And I want to share these insights with you. So let's dive into this journey together. Over the next few sections, I'll break down 3 major lessons that completely changed my outlook on business finances. I'll share personal stories, ask you some thought-provoking questions, and provide practical steps you can take today to secure your financial future. And if you're enjoying this conversation, please consider subscribing for more insights, because I truly believe that every entrepreneur deserves a chance at financial freedom. Lesson number 1. The traditional formula is a trap. For years, I thought I had everything figured out. The formula was simple: sales, expenses, profit. It sounded foolproof. Generate as much revenue as possible, cover your expenses, and the leftover is profit. But the reality is far messier. The more revenue I brought in, the more I justified spending on what seemed like essential growth. I spent big on fancy office spaces, the latest technology, and even on perks that were supposed to motivate my team. Yet despite skyrocketing sales numbers, my profits remained elusive. Why was that? I eventually discovered that the traditional formula is inherently flawed. Here's what happens. When you treat profit as whatever is left after expenses, you're giving yourself permission to spend everything up to the last penny. It's like filling a bucket with water and then trying to squeeze out a little extra. No matter how much water you pour in, if you're not careful, you'll never have enough left over. This phenomenon is explained by Parkinson's law. Work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. Similarly, expenses tend to expand to match the available income. The more money you see in your account, the more you feel justified in spending. Before you know it, the profit you dreamed of is swallowed up by unnecessary expenses. Imagine if you reverse the equation. Instead of subtracting expenses from sales to determine profit, what if you set aside profit first and then use the remaining funds for expenses? In other words, consider this new formula: sales, profit, expenses. At first, this might sound counterintuitive. After all, how can you decide on your profit before knowing what your expenses will be? But that's exactly the point. By taking your profit first, you force yourself to work within the constraints of what's left. You become disciplined, making deliberate decisions about where every dollar goes. Let me share a personal example. A few years ago, I was running my business with the traditional mindset. I'd celebrate big sales and feel invincible until the end of the month, when the funds evaporated. I started to ask myself, what if I had to run my business on only 80% of my income? How would I adapt? The idea was terrifying at first, but it forced me to look closely at every cost. I realized that many of the expenses I considered essential were actually habits, things I'd grown accustomed to without questioning whether they truly added value to my business. Take a moment to reflect. If you were forced to trim your spending by 20% right now, what would you cut? Write down 3 expenses that you could live without. You might be surprised at how many essentials are really just luxuries. Once I began setting aside a predetermined percentage for profit right when revenue came in, something incredible happened. I started to see profit accumulate month after month, and suddenly the fear of living paycheck to paycheck began to dissipate. I wasn't spending money because I had it. I was spending money because I had to, within the limits I set. It wasn't about scarcity. It was about making smarter choices. Lesson number 2. The power of multiple bank accounts. When I first heard about the idea of splitting money into different bank accounts, I was skeptical. How could a simple change in where I stored my money change the dynamics of my business? But the more I learned, the more I realized how effective this strategy is. Many of us, myself included, have always kept all our money in one account. The problem with this is deceptively simple. When you see a big number in your bank balance, you think you have more money than you really do. That big sum is comforting, but it's also misleading. It tempts you to spend without truly understanding the financial boundaries of your business. I once had a client, let's call him Mike, who ran a successful consulting firm. Despite pulling in impressive revenue, Mike was constantly stressed about cash flow. He would look at his bank statement, see a large balance, and then feel invincible, until a major expense would wipe it out completely. The cycle was relentless, leaving him exhausted and anxious every month. The 5-account system. The solution is surprisingly straightforward. Use multiple bank accounts. Here's how it works. Income account. This is where every dollar you earn is deposited. Think of it as your central collection point. Profit account. Immediately transfer a predetermined percentage of your income into this account. This is your reward for building your business. Owner's pay account. Allocate a portion here so that you, the entrepreneur, get paid consistently. Tax account. Set aside money for taxes to avoid end-of-year surprises. Operating expenses. Account. The remaining funds go here, and this is what you use to run your day-to-day operations. By dividing your money among these accounts, you create a system of financial guardrails. Each account serves a specific purpose, and you can only use the money that's allocated for that purpose. This means you're never tempted to dip into your profit or tax funds to cover operating expenses. Let me share another story. My friend Sarah was struggling to make sense of her boutique design business's finances. Despite healthy sales, her profit margins were dismal, and she was always scrambling to cover her bills. When she implemented the 5-account system, she began to see a clear separation between what she earned and what she spent. It wasn't long before she noticed that her profit account was steadily growing, and she finally started to feel secure about the future of her business. Sarah told me, "I never realized how much control I could have just by organizing my money differently. It's like I finally have a roadmap for where every dollar is going." And that's the magic of this approach. It forces you to confront your spending habits and make intentional choices. Grab a notepad or open a spreadsheet. List out all the expenses you currently pay each month. Now ask yourself, which of these expenses are absolutely essential and which could be reduced or eliminated? This simple exercise can help you identify areas where you can reclaim your money and allocate it towards profit. Lesson number 3, cutting expenses and working smarter in. My early days, I believed that more sales would automatically cover all expenses. I'd push for new clients, ramp up advertising, and expand my team, all in the hope that increased revenue would solve my financial woes. But over time, I learned that chasing revenue without controlling expenses is like trying to fill a leaky bucket. The more you pour in, the faster it leaks out. Many entrepreneurs fall into the trap of overspending. Whether it's a swanky new office space, expensive software subscriptions, or even hiring too many staff members, these expenses can add up quickly. I remember the time when I decided to upgrade my workspace. I thought that a more impressive environment would attract better clients and boost my team's morale. Instead, it drained my cash reserves and forced me into a cycle of constantly worrying about how to cover the costs. I've seen it happen to countless business owners. They invest heavily in areas that they believe are critical to success, only to realize later that these expenses are not generating a proportional return. It's a hard lesson to learn, but it's also a wake-up call that forces you to evaluate what really matters. The beauty of taking profit first is that it naturally forces you to operate leaner. When you know that a portion of your income is already off limits, you're compelled to scrutinize every expenditure. I started asking myself, is this expense truly necessary? What value does it bring to my business? And often the answer was a resounding no. For example, I used to attend every industry conference and networking event, convinced that more exposure was always better. But when I started tracking my expenses, I realized that many of these events yielded little return on investment. I scaled back, focused on the ones that truly added value, and redirected those funds towards initiatives that drove growth and profit. Think about your own business expenses. Which ones are truly critical to your success? Which ones are just habits or unnecessary splurges? Challenge yourself to cut back by at least 10–20% this month. You might be surprised by how much you can save, and those savings can go directly into your profit account. I want to be completely honest with you. When I first encountered the profit-first method, I was overwhelmed by the idea of completely overhauling my financial system. I had built my business on traditional principles and felt like I was about to take a massive leap into the unknown. But the alternative was far scarier, continuing down a path where, despite all the effort, I was barely making it, and that thought kept me up at night. I remember the moment when I decided to fully commit to this new approach. It was a cold, winter morning, and I was sitting in my small, cluttered office, staring at a bank statement that told the same depressing story as every month before. I thought about the sleepless nights, the constant stress, and the gnawing fear of financial ruin. Then I recalled a conversation I once had with a mentor who said, "It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter." That was my turning point. I set up my 5 bank accounts, determined to allocate my money according to the new system. The first few months were challenging. I had to say no to certain luxuries and reevaluate every purchase, but gradually I began to see a shift. My profit account, once a mere trickle, started growing steadily. The change wasn't dramatic overnight, but it was persistent, and that consistency built my confidence. I began to share this system with other entrepreneurs, and the results were astounding. Friends, colleagues, and even long-time business partners started reporting that they were finally breaking free from the constant cycle of stress and financial uncertainty. It became clear that taking profit first wasn't just a financial strategy. It was a mindset shift. It taught us to value what we earn and to treat profit as a non-negotiable part of our lives. There was one moment that stands out. I was at a small business conference, and during a break, a young entrepreneur approached me. With a mix of excitement and desperation, he asked, "How did you manage to turn things around when everything was falling apart?" I told him the story of how I transformed my approach to money, how I started taking profit first, how I created those 5 bank accounts, and how it forced me to operate more judiciously. His eyes lit up and he said, "I never thought something so simple could make such a difference." That conversation reaffirmed for me that financial freedom is attainable, and sometimes the simplest ideas can have the most profound impact. If you're finding value in this story, please hit that subscribe button now. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What expenses do you think you can cut to boost your profit? I'd love to hear your stories and experiences. Together, we can build a community of entrepreneurs who are not only surviving, but thriving. By now, I hope you see that the journey to a profitable business doesn't require a miracle. It requires a shift in mindset and a commitment to disciplined financial management. Here's a step-by-step plan to help you start your own transformation today. Assess your current financial health. Take a deep dive into your business finances. How much are you earning? What are your major expenses? Identify the patterns and pinpoint the areas where money is slipping through the cracks. Set up your bank accounts. Open 5 separate accounts if you haven't already. Income account. All your revenue goes here. Profit account. Immediately transfer a fixed percentage of every deposit into this account. Owner's pay account. Allocate funds for your personal income. Tax account. Set aside money for taxes. Operating expenses. Account. Use the remaining funds for daily expenses. Determine your allocation percentages. Start with small percentages if you're nervous. For instance, begin with setting aside 1 to 3% of every deposit for profit. As you get comfortable, gradually increase this percentage. Audit your expenses. List every expense and question its necessity. Cut out anything that isn't directly contributing to growth or profit. Remember, working lean doesn't mean compromising quality. It means maximizing efficiency. Implement automatic transfers. To remove the temptation to spend what you should be saving, set up automatic transfers to each account. This way, every dollar is allocated the moment it comes in. Monitor and adjust regularly. Financial management isn't a set-it-and-forget-it deal. Review your allocations and spending monthly. Adjust your percentages and strategies based on your evolving business needs. Celebrate small wins. As you see your profit account growing, celebrate those milestones. Recognize that every step towards financial discipline is a step towards true freedom. Adopting the profit-first method was more than just a financial strategy for me. It was a journey of self-discovery. I learned that our relationship with money is deeply personal, and the habits we form around spending and saving can either empower or cripple us. When I first started, I was driven by the desire to grow my business at any cost, often ignoring the signs that I was burning through my hard-earned money. The change wasn't just about dollars and cents. It was about reclaiming control over my life. I began to understand that true success isn't measured by the size of your revenue, but by the stability and freedom that profit provides. It's about being able to invest in your future, to plan for your family's security, and to have the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're not living on the edge. One of the most powerful realizations was that profit is not an event that happens once a year. It's a habit, a daily practice of making intentional decisions that protect and grow your money. Every time you decide to take profit first, you're sending a message to yourself that you value your work, that you deserve to reap the rewards of your efforts, and that you're committed to building a sustainable future. I invite you to reflect on your own journey. What habits have you developed that might be holding you back financially? How could a shift in perspective change the way you run your business? Take a few minutes today to write down your thoughts. Sharing your reflections in the comments or with a trusted colleague can spark a meaningful conversation that leads to positive change. There's a beautiful ripple effect that happens when you start prioritizing profit. It's not just about the numbers. It's about the freedom and empowerment that come from being in control of your finances. When you make the decision to save first, you start to see opportunities you never noticed before. You're less stressed, more focused, and you begin to invest in areas that truly drive your business forward. I've seen this ripple effect transform not only my business, but the lives of so many entrepreneurs around me. People who once felt trapped in a cycle of endless work and little reward now speak with a newfound confidence. They're able to innovate, take calculated risks, and grow their businesses in ways they never thought possible. I'm not here to tell you that the journey will be easy. Changing deep-seated habits and rethinking how you manage money takes courage and persistence. There will be challenges, and there might be moments when you question whether it's all worth it. But trust me, when you start to see the positive changes, the stress begins to melt away, and you realize that financial freedom is not just a dream, it's within your grasp. I encourage you to take that first step today. Start small, be patient with yourself, and remember that every big change begins with a single deliberate decision. As you commit to this new way of managing your business finances, you'll find that you're not just building a more profitable company, you're building a life that reflects your true values and ambitions. If this conversation has sparked something in you, please consider subscribing to my channel or newsletter. Let's build a community of entrepreneurs who support each other in achieving real financial freedom. Share your wins, your challenges, and your breakthroughs. Together, we can transform not only our businesses, but our lives. Let's bring everything together. Today, I've shared with you a new way of thinking about business finances, one that flips the traditional formula on its head. Instead of letting expenses gobble up your revenue until nothing is left, you set aside profit first. By doing so, you force yourself to operate within clear limits, ensuring that you always have money saved and that you're not living in a constant state of financial stress. We discussed 3 major lessons. The traditional formula is a trap. By following the outdated equation, sales expenses - profit, you inadvertently encourage overspending. Flipping the formula to sales profit - expenses creates discipline and intentionality. The power of multiple bank accounts, splitting your money into dedicated accounts for income, profit, owner's pay, taxes, and operating expenses, creates a system of guardrails that keep your finances in check. Cutting expenses and working smarter. When you're forced to work with less, you learn to identify unnecessary expenses and focus on what truly drives your business forward. The journey to financial freedom isn't just about numbers. It's about reclaiming control, building sustainable habits, and creating a future where you're not just surviving, but thriving. Every step you take towards implementing these strategies is a step away from stress and uncertainty, and a step towards stability and empowerment. I want you to remember, profit is not an event. It's a daily habit, a series of choices you make that compound over time. When you prioritize profit, you're investing in yourself, your business, and your future. It's not about depriving yourself of growth. It's about ensuring that growth is healthy, sustainable, and truly rewarding. So as you leave here today, I challenge you to take one concrete action. Open that bank account, set up those automatic transfers, audit your expenses, and then share your progress with someone who needs to hear this message too. Here's to turning your business into a well-oiled, profit-generating machine. A business that not only survives, but thrives, giving you the freedom to live the life you've always dreamed of. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you found this story helpful, please share it, comment below with your experiences, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights and strategies to achieve financial freedom. Together, we can build a future where every entrepreneur has the power to claim the profit they deserve. In conclusion, imagine a life where every month you look at your bank account and see a growing balance. One that isn't just a number on a statement, but a symbol of your hard work, discipline, and smart decisions. That's the promise of taking profit first. It's a promise of clarity, control, and the freedom to invest in what truly matters. Your business is more than just a source of income. It's an expression of your passion, creativity, and determination. Don't let outdated habits hold you back. Embrace a new way of thinking, take control, prioritize profit, and watch as your business transforms from a source of constant stress into a wellspring of opportunity and security. Remember, the journey to financial freedom is a marathon, not a sprint. It requires commitment, patience, and the willingness to challenge long-held beliefs about money. But I promise you, every small step you take will lead to a future where you're not just working harder, but working smarter, and ultimately reaping the rewards of your own success. So are you ready to make that change? Are you ready to put profit at the heart of your business and watch your life transform? I believe in you, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. Let's make profit a priority, starting right now. Here's to your success, and here's to a future where you're in control of your money, your business, and your destiny. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope these insights have inspired you to take the leap into a more profitable and fulfilling way of doing business. Now go out there and claim the financial freedom you deserve.